start to finish, Maps for Kids is a 10-year initiative, but 2006 is the most important year. As you know, we opened 3 brand new high schools this year, and while today is the first day of classes at Douglas High School, next fall the students at U.S. Grant and John Marshall will be in their new schools. And it is my opinion that when these 3 high schools have opened, that our citizens will begin to develop their own opinions about Maps for Kids and about the success of Maps for Kids. And please know that at City Hall, we understand the importance of this initiative. Just as it was in 2004 and 2005, Maps for Kids is our #1 priority in 2006. I want to personally thank School Board President Cliff Hudson, Superintendent Bob Moore for their work inside the classrooms. As you have probably seen, test scores are up, and we are thrilled with the early results of Maps for Kids. Coupled with the first set of Maps for Kids, some big things are happening. And I tell you, one of the most exciting things that's happening is we're creating some incredible momentum for inner city housing. Downtown is in the beginning stages of a housing boom. In downtown alone, and this is in the inner city, downtown, and kind of depending on how you define downtown, but in the inner city, there are 13 housing developments with a total of more than 1,200 units that are planned or are coming out of the ground. And it's almost scary to think that this is just the beginning. The demand studies indicate that by 2010, nearly 13,000 residential units will be needed downtown. But as much housing as we see being created in the inner city, we are still expanding on the perimeter. North, south, east, and west, in every direction, Oklahoma City continues to expand, and with that comes additional responsibilities from the city. You know, municipalities across the country, and especially in Oklahoma, are running into financial problems. Because municipalities' expenses are largely based on personnel issues, and remember the cost of health care continues to go up every year for people who employ personnel, we are having to take significant steps to become more efficient. Since I joined the City Council in 2001, we have eliminated over 200 positions from city government, all in an effort to increase efficiency. In 2005, we formed a mayor's task force to look at ways to increase efficiency and to see if we could redistribute dollars into our overly stressed general fund. As a result of that task force, which included some members of the City Council, but also many of you in the private sector, we are implementing several new ideas. But we have work to do. One idea that I would like to see generate some momentum is for the different municipalities to consolidate their services. Here are some numbers that I believe illustrate some of the inefficiencies. There are 15 fire departments in the Oklahoma City Metro. There are 16 police departments in the Oklahoma City Metro. Plus, there's the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office with hundreds of officers. There is ambulance service. There are several layers of courts and judicial services. There are 23 school districts. If you were starting a community from scratch, it would not look anything like this. It has evolved, and the inefficiencies have grown over time. Millions of taxpayer dollars, perhaps even tens of millions, are being wasted each year. There is opportunity. We could consolidate city and county government, or we could just consolidate some municipal services. So where do we start? Well, since 2/3 of our general fund is spent on public safety, the best opportunity for increased efficiency is going to be in this area. And there are opportunities to be not just more efficient in Oklahoma City, but really more efficient throughout the entire metro. We need to be thinking of the taxpayers. We need to consolidate our services and begin to think as a region instead of as a series of cities and towns. Given the financial concerns of municipalities, it's not only that we have the opportunity, we have the responsibility to consolidate in the area of public safety. We could save money with no decrease in the level of service. We have several options. You could put together a task force, and hopefully we will at some point, and they could come up with a lot of different directions. But let me just give you one example. What if we took the 15 municipal fire departments and created one new fire department. We could create a more efficient system that would, 1, maintain the same level of service, 2, save millions of dollars annually in the metro, and 3, because of the high number of retirees in the system, it could quickly be implemented and that no firefighter would lose a job. We would have a long-term reduction in the number of personnel that would be required. And it's important to note that the men and women that work in our fire departments not only respond to the fires, but they are the first responders if you have a heart attack, for instance. But putting out a fire or responding to a medical emergency in one part of the metro is not a whole lot different than performing that same task in another part of the metro. We don't need 15 fire departments. Pending more study, we could put ambulance service into this same consolidation, but regardless, millions of dollars could be saved annually. Let me give you 3 specific examples of recent events that deal with our need for consolidation. Recently, we've had a series of grass fires that caused significant damage to property. Many of those grass fires crossed the city limits from one municipality to another. Now, fortunately, the fire departments in the Oklahoma City metro area work pretty well together. Ours has the most equipment, so we respond virtually to every large-scale fire and every large-scale emergency event. But do we really need an emergency management system in which one department is responsible for a fire on one side of the street and another department is responsible if it crosses the street? That's a flawed system. 2 other examples of the need for consolidation that don't have anything to do with fires. We recently concluded a community-wide transportation study to consider our needs for public transportation for the next 25 years. It included needs for HOV lanes, enhanced bus services. There's even talk of more trolleys and perhaps long-term, maybe even expanded rail service. But nothing is going to happen, at least nothing substantial, until we start thinking as a region instead of as individual municipalities. Transportation must be tackled on a regional basis. And thirdly, we have recently had an increase in the attention that is given to high-speed pursuits in the metro area. One of these chases cost us the lives of one of our police officers. There has been continued discussion about changes in policy. Well, first, understand that these chases almost always cross city boundaries. And because of state law, the municipality, like Oklahoma City in this case, has no control over the actions or the policies of the highway patrol, of the sheriff's deputies, or even the police from another city. Now, understand, I fully support our current pursuit policy, but if we did want to change the policy, it would have no effect over the highway patrol, the sheriff and his deputies, the other police officers in the metros. All of those entities would be able to chase suspects through our city regardless of what policies we have in place. Consolidation could help cut down that type of confusion. And keep in mind, a consolidation does not mean annexation. The cities and towns can remain independent, but they can begin to consolidate services so that millions of dollars can be returned to the citizens or can be reinvested in some pressing capital needs like street repair, resurfacing. During the State of the City address, it is customary for the mayor to use the opportunity to discuss current issues and to give his opinion of how the city is doing. And I'm doing that, obviously, but I thought I would also take the opposite approach. We recently completed a comprehensive research study in which we basically asked the citizens to tell us how the city was doing. So in a sense, here's the state of the city from your point of view. We asked if you were satisfied with the quality of police, fire, and ambulance service and learned that 83% are satisfied. We asked if you were satisfied with water services and learned that 86% were satisfied or very satisfied. And we asked about trash collection. More good news. 88% are either satisfied or very satisfied with trash collection.